In the quiet, quaint town of Salem, nestled between the withering New England forests and the relentless Atlantic Ocean, the past lingers like a specter, casting long, ominous shadows on the present. Its inhabitants are blissfully ignorant, going about their daily routines, oblivious to the secrets buried within the heart of their town. Tonight, we will step into the House of Shadows, where the past and the present intertwine, giving birth to chilling tales that are sure to send shivers down your spine. Welcome, dear listener, to the House of Shadows. Horror stories here. We delve into the unnerving and the eerie, the tales that make your heart race and your blood chill. We venture to the dark corners of the human psyche, where fear and curiosity intertwine, exploring the mysteries that lie beyond the veil of normality. The House of Shadows is no ordinary house. It is a time capsule, each room holding a story from a different era, from the colonial times to the present day. This house has seen it all: the cries of the innocent, the laughter of the wicked, the triumph of love, and the despair of loss. It has borne witness to the rise and fall of empires, the birth of revolutions, and the silent, deadly crawl of time. Each creaking step you take, each echoing whisper you hear, is a symphony of 1,000 untold stories, waiting to be discovered. As we begin our journey, we will first explore the tale of the mysterious woman in the attic. Who was she, and what secrets did she guard with her life? We'll travel back to the time of the Salem witch trials, where paranoia and superstition held the town in its icy grip. We'll meet the accusers, the accused and the innocents caught in the crossfire. We'll gaze into the eyes of madness and see the spark of humanity flicker and die. From there, we descend into the belly of the house, the cellar, where echoes of a gruesome murder from the Prohibition era still linger. We'll taste the desperation and fear of those involved, feel the weight of their choices, and bear witness to the horrific consequences of their actions. Deep in the heart of the forgotten woods, where the sun never seems to penetrate the thick canopy, stands the House of Shadows, a place that the birds avoid, where the air is forever cold and the ground remains barren, a place known only in whispers and hushed legends, a place that lives in the nightmares of the children and the warnings of the old. This is the realm of the unseen, the unknown, the feared. Welcome, dear listener, to the House of Shadows. No one knows when or who built the House of Shadows. Its history is a mystery as deep and as dark as the forests that surround it. Some say it always existed, a stain on the world from time immemorial. Others suggest it was the creation of a mad architect, a man who sought to breach the barrier between our world and whatever lies beyond. The house itself is a haunting silhouette against the moonlit sky. Its dark, towering spires and myriad windows, all devoid of light, give it an eerie, almost otherworldly presence. Vines of ivy creep up the stone walls, a testament to the relentless passage of time. The once grand doorway, now rotting and discolored, stands as the mouth of this monstrous abode, ready to swallow anyone brave or foolish enough to enter. However, it is not the house's exterior that sparks fear in the hearts of men. It is the whispered tales of what lies within, of shadows that move of their own accord, of rooms that change when not observed, of voices that whisper in the dead of night, and of things, terrible things, that lurk in the corners of one's vision. These tales are as old as the house itself, passed down from generation to generation, each telling more unnerving than the last indeed. The House of Shadows is not a place for the faint of heart. It is a place of disquiet, a place where reality seems to warp and twist, and where the boundary between the living and the dead appears perilously thin. In the heart of the old town, where the moonlight seems to fear to tread, stands a house, not just any house, but a house that whispers tales of terror to those brave enough to listen. This is not a house of brick and mortar, but of bone-chilling specters and unimaginable horrors. They call it the House of Shadows. Its history is as dark as the nights that envelop it and the shadows that inhabit it. The House of Shadows was not always a feared monument. Once, it was a beacon of love and joy, home to the wealthy Van der Loch family, who were pioneers in the coal mining industry. Their fortune was vast, and their influence sprawling. Yet, as is often the case, prosperity came hand in hand with envy. The family's patriarch, Alfred van der Loch, was a man of ambition. His wife, Eleanor Landor, was known for her kindness and grace, while their only child, Isabella, was the jewel of their lives. The Van der Lochs were respected and envied in equal measure, their success casting long, dark shadows of resentment. In the winter of 1892, tragedy struck. Alfred was found dead in his study, an apparent victim of suicide. The town was abuzz with rumors, whispers of foul play echoing in the night. Eleanor, heartbroken and distraught, was later found in a state of madness, endlessly wandering the halls. Calling out to her deceased husband, Isabella, barely 17, was left to inherit the vast family fortune and the darkness that seemed to grow with it. It was shortly after these tragic events that the House of Shadows earned its macabre moniker. The townsfolk began to tell tales of chilling apparitions and blood-curdling screams in the night. Isabella, it was said, never left the house, her sanity slowly crumbling within its cursed walls. Her spectral figure, they said, could be seen at the windows, her eyes hollow, her face etched with eternal sorrow. As the tales grew, so did the house's legend. Many claimed to see Alfred's ghost, wandering the halls in search of something unseen. Eleanor's cries of desperation echoed from the house, reaching the ears of the town's inhabitants, chilling their hearts. As we delve deeper into the House of Shadows, we come across a section where the veil between our world and the other becomes exceptionally thin. Here, the experiences are personal and chilling to the bone. Let's start with the tale of a young man named Daniel. Daniel, a non-believer in the paranormal, moved into the House of Shadows after inheriting it from an estranged uncle. Upon moving in, he felt a strange, inexplicable chill that seemed to permeate the old wooden walls. He felt eyes on him, watching his every move. One night, in the dead of winter, Daniel woke with a start. He could hear whispers, soft but insistent. It was as if the house itself was speaking to him, a low murmur of words he couldn't quite make out. Filled with a sudden dread, he ventured down the creaking staircase, following the whispers that seemed to echo from the bowels of the house. As he reached the cellar door, he saw it, a shadowy figure standing in the darkness. Daniel's experience, terrifying as it was, is far from unique. Meet Emily, a petite redhead who decided to rent a room in the House of Shadows during her college years. Drawn in by the cheap rent, Emily was a bright, pragmatic woman who scoffed at ghost stories. However, her skepticism was soon shattered. Every night, as she lay in bed, she would feel a cold hand brushing her hair. She would wake up to find her belongings moved. Even though she lived alone, she would hear the faint laughter of children in the middle of the night, a sound that chilled her to the core. She even recalls seeing a small, shadowy figure darting around corners, disappearing whenever she tried to follow. Then there was Robert, an elderly gentleman who lived in the house for over 2 decades. He claimed to have had many encounters with the spirits of the house. His most chilling tale was of seeing a woman in a Victorian dress weeping in the corner of the living room when he tried to approach her. She vanished into thin air in the hushed world of paranormal investigations. The House of Shadows stands as a formidable challenge. Even to the most seasoned investigators, this decrepit mansion, shrouded in darkness so profound that moonlight seems to shy away from it, has a long history of inexplicable occurrences, chilling sightings, and eerie sensations. As our team of investigators arrived at the House of Shadows, the moon hung heavy in the night sky, its muted light casting long, foreboding shadows across the dilapidated structure. The house loomed ominously, an epitome of desolation and fear, seeming to bristle at the intrusion. The investigators, however, were undeterred. Equipped with high-tech devices designed to detect unseen energies and spectral presences, they stepped bravely into the heart of the unknown. The first hours of exploration were filled with an ominous silence. The investigators meticulously scanned each room with their devices, their breaths echoing eerily in the gloom. Suddenly, unexplained cold spots began to appear, causing the temperature to drop drastically. The investigators' breath turned into fog, and their thermal cameras picked up the sudden change, indicating potential spectral activity. They moved onto the upper rooms where the activity seemed strongest. As they navigated the creaky stairs, a light flickered in the corner of their eyes. A spectral orb? Not quite. It was an old chandelier, swinging slightly, as though jostled by an unseen hand. The investigators' EMF meters spiked, signaling high electromagnetic fields, often associated with paranormal entities. In the attic, the air grew heavy. A sense of dread filled the investigators as they ventured deeper. Here, they set up a spirit box, a device used to communicate with spirits. Static filled the air, then a voice, barely audible, seemed to echo through the device, repeating a single word: leave. As the night wore on, the House of Shadows seemed to come alive. Doors creaked of their own accord. Shadows danced in corners where no light fell. In the heart of the small town of Salem, Massachusetts, stands a dilapidated manor known as the House of Shadows. This eerie edifice, with its darkened windows and crumbling facade, has been the source of numerous horror tales and urban legends. Yet, the basis of these chilling stories goes beyond mere superstition, delving into a realm that combines historical facts and scientific reasoning. The house was built in the late 17th century, during the height of the Salem witch trials. Many believe the house was a sanctuary for those accused of witchcraft, a place where they could hide from the relentless pursuit of justice. With such a tumultuous history, the house has been steeped in tragedy and fear, which many believe has imprinted itself onto the very fabric of the building, a phenomenon theorized in the paranormal field as place memory. Place memory is a theory that suggests locations can retain some form of energy from traumatic events. This residual energy can manifest as apparitions, sounds, and other unexplained, which are often interpreted as hauntings. The House of Shadows, with its tumultuous past, is thus believed to be a hotbed of such residual energy. In addition, the geological location of the house also contributes to the numerous sightings and experiences. The house is built on a large deposit of quartz, a type of crystal known to have piezoelectric properties. Piezoelectricity can create electromagnetic fields when subjected to mechanical stress. In the paranormal field, it is speculated that these electromagnetic fields can interact with human consciousness, resulting in altered states of perception that can include sensing presences or witnessing apparitions, however. It's not just the piezoelectric properties of the quartz that could explain the strange happenings. There's also the theory of infrasound. Infrasound refers to low-frequency sounds that humans can't hear, but can subtly affect the body. It can cause feelings of unease, dread, and even hallucinations as the moon, in all its silvery splendor, dipped low in the sky. The chilling tale of the House of Shadows reached an unforgettable climax. Our protagonists, Lucy and Robert, had managed to unravel the sinister secrets binding them to the decaying mansion, and in the process, awakened the spectral inhabitants from their eternal slumber. The house had held on to its past with an iron grip, its troubled history manifesting through the perpetual darkness that had earned it its name. The spirits, trapped in an eternal cycle of sorrow and despair, were the house's shadows. They were echoes of times long past, victims of unspeakable tragedies that the manor had witnessed over centuries. Lucy and Robert, armed with compassion and courage, vowed to free the spirits from their forsaken fate. The task, however, was not as simple as it seemed. The house resisted their efforts, its walls echoing with eerie whispers, and its rooms filling with an otherworldly chill. The spectral inhabitants, too, were hesitant, their fear of the unknown outweighing the promise of liberation. The turning point arrived when Lucy, braving the all-encompassing darkness, managed to connect with the spirit of a young girl. Through her, they learned of the spirit's collective desire for peace, their longing to be freed from the shadows. This revelation sparked a newfound determination in our protagonists. They were no longer just visitors in the House of Shadows. They had become its beacon of hope. With the dawning of a new day, Lucy and Robert embarked on the arduous journey of liberating the spirits. They used love and empathy as their tools, reaching out to each spirit individually, assuring them of a peaceful afterlife. The house fought back, its darkness intensifying, but they persevered, their resolve unbreakable. One by one, the spirits began to respond to their efforts. The spectral inhabitants, once bound by despair, were now stepping into the light. The house, too, seemed to change. The shadows began to recede, replaced by streaks of sunlight that filtered through the broken window panes. As the last spirit crossed over, Lucy and Robert felt a profound sense of peace envelop the house. As the moon shines brightly over the dilapidated old house, casting long, eerie shadows and bathing the structure in an otherworldly light, we find ourselves at the end of our horrifying exploration of the House of Shadows. The stories we unearthed, the secrets we discovered, and the chilling narratives we pieced together have led us down a path of spine-tingling fear and morbid fascination. It's time to revisit the chilling accounts we delved into, to tie together the loose ends, and to find a deeper meaning behind the horror. Each tale, each ghostly apparition, and each blood-curdling scream we encountered in the House of Shadows holds a mirror to our deepest, darkest fears. They are metaphors for the human condition, our inner demons, the uncertainty of life, and our fear of the unknown. Let's take a step back and contemplate the story of the woman in white who roams the corridors in silent despair. Her tale is one of loss and longing, a manifestation of the human fear of abandonment and isolation. Then there is the story of the child who laughs in the darkness, an embodiment of innocence lost, our collective fear of aging, and the inevitable loss of our childlike wonder and joy. The spectral couple that dances in the ballroom, forever trapped in their last waltz. symbolizes our longing for eternal love and the fear of its loss. The wailing banshee in the attic, her cries piercing the silence of the night, echoes our dread of death and the afterlife. Each of these stories reflects a facet of our own fears, cloaked in the supernatural. And what about the house itself?